We've had a great day here so far at the Americares Partner Summit in 2022 in New York City. We're continuing the conversation with Susan Grossman, who is the Executive Vice President of Data and Services Product Development at Mastercard. Thank you so much for being here, Susan.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm excited to chat. So you served on the Americares board since 2019. Tell us about some of the work you've personally been involved in or has had maybe significant personal impact on you in your journey so far.
One experience that really jumps out is I was able to go down to Colombia after we had built some clinics. We got a USAID grant from the US government to go build clinics on the border between Venezuela and Colombia. To deal with the refugee crisis. And so being able to go down there again, and see the clinics that had been set up and talk to patients. And one of the things that just was, it was so striking. It is such a humanitarian disaster. And you see people, many of them pregnant women, but people who have nothing, who've lost everything. They're not employed and they have no choice but to just walk out of their country into a new country.
Literally walk.
Literally walk. We went to the border and literally watched this happening. And then they need healthcare, like everybody needs healthcare. And the other side of it is that while Colombia is accepting all of these, refugees, that is a huge strain on the health system there. And then that creates problems for the people in Colombia. And it doesn't set up a very good situation. So Americares has built these clinics that are really like a relief valve to help provide that other capacity, but just really help these people who are in the worst situations and the worst, experience of their life, and at least make sure that they have basic health care, which is so critical.
So critical and so fundamental. And you're a leader, right, in these philanthropic spaces and worlds, but also in the corporate world. How does one inform the other?
We're in an era now where corporations are starting to really embrace ESG initiatives and see that doing the right thing and doing the right thing for shareholders does not have to conflict. And in fact, actually, it really, really aligns. So that's very, that's exciting, and it's time for that. And just to give an example, if you think about what Americares does, it's really about providing access to healthcare and, to the most vulnerable populations in the world, people who normally wouldn't have access to healthcare. And that is so critically important, not just to individuals, but to communities and to economies and to businesses. Because if you're sick, you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't take care of your loved ones. So the whole community and the whole economy suffers if people don't have access to healthcare. So it's another one of these examples of doing the right thing and providing healthcare and access is also really good for just the whole ecosystem and for, corporations as well.
Yeah, of course. And what about the theme today, right, which is Future Now? How does that excite you, and how does that inform your work?
What's exciting is embracing this moment and the catalyst that the pandemic was to really say, okay, we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to change the way things are done, to change how we're doing things. So it's exciting to see so many people and organizations coming together today to have that conversation in person, and coming out of it with really tangible action plans, because it is a moment that,
a palpable one.
It's a palpable moment that we've earned. It wasn't, it wasn't created easily. There was a lot of negative things that happened to get here.
And a lot of medical innovation and people in the front lines are like doing the work day in and day out to get us here.
Exactly. So we don't want to waste the moment. We want to jump on it and really use it as a catalyst for change and good things.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for taking the time, for doing the work that you do as a board member for Americares.
Sure.
Susan. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you so much for being here.